So I was in the IB program, which I thought was very fortunate because we had a small class, like 14 people, and we really got to know our teachers well. In the IB program itself, I think the couple of teachers that really stick out are our English teacher, Miss Gazella. She's actually not here anymore, but when she was there, we were her first like actual full IB class, and she just put so much effort into, making sure that we were accommodated for, that we had because she herself didn't, it was her first class and it was our first time, right? So we all had so many questions, and so she was always working to make sure that we were comfortable, that we knew what we were doing, that she was ahead. She put so much effort into just our class, and I think it really goes to show because my English, the level that I write at, I was at Oxford these past 6 months, and I was taking English there, and it was one of the easiest classes for me. And I'm a biology major, it shouldn't be that easy, and she was a great teacher. From middle school, who really sticks out to me is Miss Ballard, again, English teacher. I think she's now at OHS. I think she's the reason I like English. I am a science major. English is not the thing that I do on a day-to-day basis, but she worked to make it enjoyable. She worked to make it approachable. We did Shakespeare. It was the first time I'd ever read Shakespeare, and she really worked so that we could understand the literature and also think about it in a broader sense, which still sticks with me today.
Throughout my years of high school, I had lots of amazing teachers. I did well, but I couldn't have done well without my teachers. One of my favorite teachers that I can think of immediately, his name is Mr. Brandt. He was my physics teacher for 2 years. The first year I had him, he was my, just normal physics teacher. The second year I had him, he was my Physics C physics teacher, so he taught us calculus-based physics. And what I liked about Mr. Brandt was he not only taught you physics, but he made you understand physics. And he gave us examples, visual examples, examples on the board, and explained it in different terms as well. So, you understood what you were learning. On top of that, he was very good at being very difficult on us. And that's a good thing because he was so hard on us that when we were ready to take the AP test, it was easy-ish.
There you go.
It was very difficult, but I was able to do well because I had a great teacher, and Mr. Brandt was awesome. Another teacher that comes to mind is Mrs. Wyant. She was my actual calculus teacher, my senior year of high school. When I was first in class, she was a real quiet teacher, but I think it was awesome because she didn't have to say much to teach us well, if that makes sense. Mrs. Wyant was very kind and very willing to work with her different students, especially if they were out for tennis or football or other sports like that. And that helps a lot because student athletes are very, very busy. And so if you have a teacher that's willing to help you out and work with you, that's awesome. Another teacher that comes to mind is Mrs. Ballard. I had her my freshman year while I was still at Bowie Junior High School. And she was my English teacher, and we read some very difficult books that year. And she really helped us have fun, understand them, and just made the reading fun, And some of my favorite books were from my freshman year, and Mrs. Ballard was awesome. And I think as I was in high school, she moved up to teaching in the high school while I was there, and I'm glad she did because she was one awesome teacher and extremely smart. You can tell she's a very intelligent woman.
Immediately, I think of in junior high, my 8th grade year. It was one of my favorite years of school, and teachers. I had Miss Owens as my English teacher. And she made English really fun because she didn't just teach us the material, she really made us learn it and get a good basis for what we were learning. And she had fun, interactive songs that she would make the entire class stand up and sing. And at first we were really hesitant and didn't really want to do it, but she just continually was really excited about it and really just interactive with the students. And so that was a really fun class to go to every day, and a class that I looked forward to being in. And then I also think of Mr. Cook, and he taught me history. And history isn't generally a subject that people are excited to learn. It's not a subject that people really look forward to a lot, I think. But he made it really fun, and we did take notes a lot in that class because that's just how you learn history. But he had PowerPoints that would have fun interactive things like a spaceship that flew in and blew up the White House, and just like funny things like that that made sure you were paying attention because you didn't want to miss anything. And so I really enjoyed his class as well, just because it was fun and, again, interacting with the students. And then also my 8th grade year, my science teacher was Mrs. Cook, and I loved her class, not necessarily for the fun side, but because it was challenging. And that was the first year that I really enjoyed science, and the first year that that I just remember learning a lot and being interested in learning, because she didn't just give you the grade, you had to work for it. And so that was really enjoyable for me because I loved the challenge of having to constantly be learning and constantly be teaching myself outside of class, as opposed to just learning in class and then kind of forgetting the things that I had been taught as the weeks went on. She built on everything week after week.
I was an ESL student, and learning a different language was difficult. So I know the difficulty of learning a different language, but I also know that it's very important to not just have one tool in your toolkit, which is one language. I know that being multi-cultural, knowing more than one language is going to benefit everybody in the long run. So I took that, and that's why I became a Spanish teacher, because I want to be able to provide that for my students, not just be a conformist and just know English, because most people speak English, but Spanish is going to benefit them in the long run. So that's why my teacher at Permian was wonderful. She was very inspiring, and that's one of the reasons why I became a teacher too. That teacher was Miss Harkins, Melba Harkins. She was my ESL English teacher. She was inspiring because she would tell us what was right, what was wrong. She told us, like what I told you, you need to know English because it's going to help you, it's going to benefit you, especially living in the US, of course, but like she also said that you're expanding your opportunities knowing English and Spanish. So she was inspiring in that sense that she wanted us to do more, not just conform with, oh, someone speaks Spanish, so I'll just go by. So she wanted us to learn and expand our opportunities. Ms. Morris was also one of the teachers that mentored me out. I really enjoyed art. Was one of the things that I didn't have to think in English, but I also really enjoyed it. She helped me grow as an artist. Back then, I used to draw and was all into art. I even went to Houston to an art show, and it was awesome. So she also helped me become a better person, become a better artist, and I know art can be a different kind of language. So I also incorporate that into my classroom. So she'll also inspire me.
There was tons of, instructors or teachers that, impacted my life, but I think the ones that sort of stick out more in my life is, she wasn't an instructor, but she was an employee there at OHS, Miss Moreno. She was pretty much the one that sort of, gave me, she informed me more about school. Since I'm first generation, I was completely clueless, and so she introduced me to it and taught me more about the financial aid and stuff like that, which I had no idea. But another one of the teachers that I enjoyed a lot was also Ms. Woodall. With her, she, also with her, without her, I wouldn't have not an idea of where I wanted to start.
Oh, I had a lot of favorite teachers. One of my favorite teachers that really impacted my life was Miss Woodall. She was my AVID teacher, my sophomore and senior year. She not only helped me through school, but she also helped me at home. She helped me, stay active in the community, to give back up to others, and also continuing my education. I went to tech. I'm a tech student, so I owe it all to her. I mean, without her, I wouldn't have applied for the schools. I mean, she's like a second mom to me.
I think probably my first grade teacher, Colleen Madison. She taught over at Gonzales. I was always that sick little kid, and I was pretty scared. I was the smallest of my class, and she really helped give me a little confidence back then. Of course, I was in and out so much being sick, but she always took the time to help me make sure I was caught up, and just helped me not feel like the smallest kid around. And then probably my favorite teacher of all was Charles Nail. My sophomore year at Permian was the first year of desegregation. And all the kids came in from Ector, and it really could have been, a really hard year for the Permian band, because we had 2 equipment lieutenants, because anybody at Ector that was a majorette, they became a majorette at Permian. They were an officer in the band, they became an officer over here. And that year, he really brought everyone together. In fact, that was the year that Permian won state in marching contest. And it was because of Charles Nail's leadership, because he was handing to kids that had never been in the Permian band, but through his expectations of us. He was always hard on us, but he could always draw out the best of you. And, to this day, when I see him at church, I still can't call him Charles. I have to call him Mr. Nail, because I'm still, I'm 50 years old and still afraid of him. So, and probably another one at Permian was Miss Swafford. She was a government teacher, and she was like a high school kid herself. She was real close to retirement age, but one day we went to get yogurt, the whole class, and we talked about government and the effects on businesses. But she always took us out of the school to show us that education really matters, and that was, you're very blessed to have teachers like that.
I'll start with the biggest one, and that was it would have to be Coach Bogart, the woman, of course. Mm-hmm. And she just changed my life completely, because she saw what I was doing and how I was going, but she saw potential also. And every other teacher before her, they all saw potential in me, but no one knew how to handle me. And I guess she told me that she made it her point that she was going to be able to be the one teacher that could handle me. So what she did is crazy. She made it to where I didn't want to get in any trouble anymore. I would have cross-country practice at 6 in the morning, even though I tried to quit. I'd go to basketball and debate. I had a 0-hour class. Then from then on, I'd have practice after school with basketball. So I wouldn't get home till 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And I have class I would go to class at 6 in the morning. So I'm at school for 12 hours a day. And once you get home from after that, you don't really want to do anything else. But it wasn't just her. She was like the last stepping stone. From everyone before her made a huge difference. So right before her, there was Ms. Santaveros, who, gave me confidence.
When a teacher becomes more than just a person in the classroom, when they become like a mentor, when they become, like a friend, someone you can talk to even past, high school, I think that's when a real relationship comes in. And I think we were so fortunate to have that. I talked to my friends in college, and a lot of them did not have the same thing that we did here in ECISD, so I think we're very fortunate.
First of all, the teacher has to enjoy what they're teaching, because if the teacher really genuinely enjoys what they're teaching, that energy is kind of transferred to the kids. Like, this is fun, this is something important to learn. And I can think of all my teachers that were excellent. They loved what they were doing, you could tell, and it came across to the kids. The second thing, they have to be good with kids, understanding, be adults, but also understand things from a kid's point of view sometimes. Because we're really immature and we don't get stuff sometimes. And so if the teacher understands that, they're able to work with us some. So that's another important thing. They have to be able to connect with the kids. And probably the third thing, they have to just, be themselves, be who they are, be their own personality. Because, us kids, we talk about our teachers like, oh, Mr. Brandt's so cool, you know, he's so dorky and weird. It's awesome. So as long as the teacher conveys their own personality through their class, I think that's so awesome. And it makes the class fun and makes the teachers memorable to the students.
I think the main thing that makes a teacher really stand out in a student's mind is the personal connection that they have with you. If they're willing to, you know, learn not only your name throughout the weeks that they have you in class, but learn about you personally and learn what motivates you to learn and about kind of your personality, and they can pertain their teaching to you individually. That's what all of the teachers that have impacted me in such a huge way, they all were just really invested in me as an individual, and they did that to multiple students. It wasn't just one or two, but they really just cared for the students and had just a big desire to see them learn and to grow, and they really understand that the foundation that they are building is so important for the future. And so I think my success later on, you know, through my freshman year of college and even beyond that came from a firm foundation that those teachers built in junior high and high school.
Understanding, patient, very patient, and overall they push you. They push you to be better. That's what I can think of both the teachers that I had at Permian. They push you to be a better person. I know all the students are different. They all have different backgrounds, but no matter what, they always try to understand where the student comes from, and they try to push them to be better. Even if they're not going to be number one in rank in school, but they always want us to be better. So that's what I think a teacher does. They push their students to be better.
I believe like their dedication to students, you know, their compassion towards them, you know. I think that's just the main focus, just their compassion. You know, they have patience, you know, for us, you know, that, you know, stuff from the very bottom where we're like, we don't even know where to start, you know. But I mean, I think that's what makes them special, what separates them from the other instructors.
I think a teacher that really cares about the student, not only do they teach, but they go beyond that. They get to know you better. They get to, hey, what's wrong with you? You know, they get to get you to know like a little bit more about yourself.
There's those teachers that tell you, we're not friends. I'm your teacher, and that's all that is. I don't believe that's the right way to do it. You know, I work at a high school myself. Over there, I'm a coach and a tutor. If you can't get kids to trust you, then you're not going to be able to teach them anything. They're not going to listen to you.
You know, that time in my life when I had Mr. Nail, we were going through some pretty rough things as a family. And, you know, in his own way, he'd pull you aside, make sure you're okay. But he truly cared about his kids. You know, all the teachers I had, especially Permian, Carol Dial, who was an English teacher, fantastic English teacher. She cared about the kids. And the fact that an adult other than one of your family members would care enough about you to check on you, to kick you in the butt when you needed it, but they truly had your best interest at heart.